The restaurant was perfect. Brian had chosen Marcello's, candlelight flickering across white tablecloths, a violinist weaving between tables, the kind of place where proposals happen and strangers applaud. When he stood, the room quieted. He held the velvet box like a trophy. "You are my forever," he said, voice thick with emotion. "My partner. My future." The ring caught the light. 3 carats. Flawless. People were already smiling, phones raised to capture the moment. I smiled too. Not because I was surprised. Not because I was moved. But because folded in my purse was a hotel receipt from the Ritz dated last Tuesday. Because my phone held screenshots of 14 wire transfers totaling $14,100 to an account belonging to Amber Reeves, his work mentor from the marketing firm. Because yesterday, I'd received a forwarded email thread where Brian told his mother I was having episodes and struggling financially. He thought he was proposing. I knew I was closing a case file. My name is Tessa Morales. I'm 31. I work as a project manager for a tech company in Austin. I manage timelines, budgets, and teams. I solve problems by breaking them into smaller problems. I document everything. That's who I am professionally. Personally, I'd been with Brian for 3 years. We talked about marriage for the last year. He was charming, successful, ambitious. A senior account director at a marketing firm downtown. His mother loved me. His sister invited me to girls' nights. His friends called us couple goals. I'd believed we were building something real. I'd been wrong. But here's the thing about being a project manager. You learn to separate what people say from what the data shows. You learn to trust systems, not promises. And 3 months ago, the system showed me the truth. Not through suspicion. Through an accident. Yes, I said softly. The room erupted. He slipped the ring on my finger, kissed me, pulled me close. Against my ear, he whispered, "I can't wait to start our life together." I whispered back, "Neither can I." Champagne appeared. His friends congratulated us. Strangers at nearby tables raised their glasses. Brian's hand never left mine. I smiled through every toast. Laughed at every joke. Posed for every photo. Because that's what you do when you're playing a part. You commit to the performance. By the time we left Marcello's, my cheeks hurt from smiling. Brian drove us home, one hand on the wheel, the other laced through mine. "I love you," he said at a stoplight. "I love you too," I replied. And I meant it. Not the way he thought. But in the way you love someone you're about to teach a permanent lesson. Let me tell you how I got here. 3 months ago, I wasn't building a case file. I was planning a future. Brian and I had just opened a joint account. For wedding planning, he'd said. We each deposited $10,000 to start. The plan was to save another $30,000 over the next year. I trusted him completely. We shared streaming accounts, calendars, photo libraries. We'd synced our devices for convenience. That's how it started. Not with suspicion. With a shared iPad. I was lying in bed on a Thursday night, scrolling through Netflix, when his messages appeared on the screen. A notification. From someone named Amber. The preview read, "Last night was incredible. When can I see you again?" My hands went cold. I opened the thread. 2 months of messages. Pet names. Photos. Promises. And I realized, the woman he'd introduced me to at his company holiday party as just a colleague was the woman he'd been sleeping with for 8 weeks. I didn't scream. I didn't wake him up. I sat in the bathroom and read every message. "Amber, I can't stop thinking about Tuesday night. Brian, me neither. You're all I think about. Amber, when are you going to tell her? Brian, soon. I just need the timing to be right. Amber, you've been saying that for weeks. Brian, I know. But trust me. Once the wedding fund is fully loaded, I'll handle it. I screenshot everything. Sent them to a private email account I created on the spot. Deleted the sent messages from his iPad. Then I kept reading. Amber, she seems so clueless. Brian, she is. It's actually kind of sad. Amber, do you feel bad? Brian, not really. She's temporary. You're forever. I read that line 3 times. She's temporary. You're forever. The same words he'd used in his proposal 3 months later. He'd practiced his lines. Just with the wrong woman. The next morning, I did laundry. His suit jacket was in the hamper. I checked the pockets before washing. A folded receipt. The Ritz-Carlton. Room 1847. Date, last Tuesday. Total, $487. Charged to our joint credit card. The same Tuesday night he told me he was meeting clients in Chicago. He'd never left the city. I took a photo of the receipt. Then I checked our shared calendar. Every late meeting matched a message to Amber. Every client dinner matched a hotel charge. Every drinks with the guys matched a coded location. The calendar was a map of his lies. And I'd been funding them with our joint account. The account we'd opened for our future. Our future. The phrase suddenly felt obscene. I put the receipt back in his pocket. Finished the laundry. Made him breakfast. Kissed him goodbye when he left for work. And started building my case. I requested statements from our joint account. 6 weeks of activity. $4,200 to Bella Events LLC, listed as catering deposit. $3,800 to Rosewood Designs, listed as florist retainer. $2,100 to Harmony Strings, listed as band deposit. $1,500 to Lux Invitations, listed as stationery. $2,500 to Legacy Photo Co., listed as photographer. Total, $14,100. I called every vendor. Hi, this is Tessa Morales. I'm verifying a payment my fiancé made for our wedding. Bella Events, we don't have any record of that name or transaction. Rosewood Designs, I'm sorry, there's no account under Brian Reed or Tessa Morales. Harmony Strings, we haven't received any deposits this month. Every single vendor said the same thing. No record. No contract. No payment. I used a reverse lookup tool for the account numbers on the transfer receipts. Every vendor payment went to the same account. Account ending in 7392. Registered to Amber Reeves. I checked my credit score in early December. It had dropped from 760 to 720. 40 points. I hadn't missed a payment. Hadn't opened new accounts. Hadn't changed anything about my financial behavior. I pulled my full credit report. And there it was. A credit card I'd never applied for. Issued, September 15th. Credit limit, $15,000. Current balance, $11,000. Payment history, 3 minimum payments made on time. The application was filed using my name, social security number, and birth date. But the signature wasn't mine. The billing address was our shared apartment. The payments were being auto-deducted from our joint account in small amounts, $200 here, $250 there, small enough that I wouldn't notice in monthly statements. Someone had opened a credit card in my name. charged $11,000, and was paying it off with our shared money. I knew exactly who, but I needed proof. I filed a fraud alert with the credit bureaus, froze my credit, and kept digging. I was at Brian's mother's house for Sunday dinner when I excused myself to use the restroom. Her laptop was open on the desk. An email thread with Brian. Subject line, concerned about Tessa. Brian, Mom, I need to talk to you about something sensitive. Tessa's been having these episodes. Mood swings. Irrational spending. I'm worried about her mental health. His mother, Linda, have you suggested therapy? Brian, I've tried. She gets defensive. Honestly, I'm doing my best to manage the finances until she's more stable. Linda, that's very mature of you, honey. Have you thought about what this means for your future together? Brian, I have. But I love her. I'm hoping she'll get help. I just wanted you to be aware in case things escalate. I screenshot everything. Sent it to my private email. Deleted the sent message from the trash folder. Went back downstairs. Smiled through dessert. That night, I laid out everything on my bedroom floor. Messages with Amber, 67 screenshots. Hotel receipts, 4 total. Fake vendor transfers, $14,100. Fraudulent credit card, $11,000 balance. Emails to his family, 8 conversations painting me as unstable. This wasn't just an affair. This was a system. Layer 1, emotional betrayal. He was sleeping with Amber while planning a future with me. Layer 2, financial theft. He was stealing from our joint account and opening credit in my name. Layer 3, reputational sabotage. He was telling his family I was mentally unstable and financially irresponsible. He wasn't just cheating. He was isolating me. Building a narrative where, if I ever confronted him, I'd already be discredited. Where his family would side with him. Where I'd look like the irrational, spending-obsessed fiancé he described. It was methodical. Calculated. And it had been happening for months. I didn't cry. I documented. I met with an attorney on a Wednesday morning. Her name was Patricia Chin. 46. Specialized in fraud and family law. I brought printed copies of everything. She reviewed them in silence for 20 minutes. Finally, she looked up. This is identity theft, she said. Fraud. And if he's been telling people you're unstable to cover his tracks, that could be defamation. What do I do? I asked. Document everything. Don't let him know you know. File a credit freeze, which you've already done. Open a separate account in your name only. And when you're ready, we move. What does move mean? Freeze the joint account. File fraud reports with the bank and credit card company. Initiate a civil recovery action for the stolen funds. Subpoena Amber Reeves' bank records to prove she received fraudulent transfers. And expose his narrative before he can use it against you. How long will this take? If you're ready, we can file everything the day you give me the word. I gave her a retainer check. I'll be ready soon, I said. Over the next 6 weeks, I prepared. Step 1, opened a new checking account at a different bank. Transferred my salary deposits there. Step 2, set up a hidden folder on my phone for screenshots, receipts, and recorded conversations. Legal in Texas with one-party consent. Step 3, created a timeline document showing every hotel charge, every fake vendor transfer, every message to Amber, and every email to his family. Step 4, pulled our joint account transaction history for the full year. Step 5, compiled a list of witnesses, Friends who'd been with me during times Brian claimed I was having episodes. Step 6. Documented every interaction where Brian seemed loving, supportive, and committed. Because the gap between his public performance and his private betrayal was the story. I didn't tell anyone. Not my mother. Not my best friend. Not my coworkers. Because silence is strategic. And I needed control. At dinner, I smiled. In bed, I let him hold me. When he texted Amber, I pretended not to notice. When he transferred another $1,200 to a wedding DJ, I said nothing. When his mother asked how I was feeling, I said, "Great. Never better." Brian thought I was oblivious. He was careful. But not careful enough. In early February, he started planning the proposal. He asked me my ring size. Took me to look at venues, just for fun. Mentioned Valentine's Day repeatedly. I played along. Because I knew what he didn't, the performance was almost over. On February 10th, I met with Patricia again. He's going to propose on Valentine's Day, I said. What do you want to do? I want to say yes. She raised an eyebrow. And then, she asked. And then we file everything the next morning. She smiled. Let's get the paperwork ready. Patricia drafted everything. Document 1, fraud complaint with the bank. Document 2, identity theft report with the FTC. Document 3, credit card dispute for fraudulent charges. Document 4, civil complaint for fraud and unjust enrichment. Document 5, subpoena request for Amber Reeves bank records, account ending in 7392. Document 6, sworn affidavit detailing the timeline, evidence, and financial harm. Everything was ready. All I needed was to sign. I reviewed each document 3 times. Made sure every date was accurate. Every dollar amount was verified. Every screenshot was referenced. On February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, I met Patricia one final time. Are you sure about this? She asked. Completely. Once we file, there's no going back. I don't want to go back. She handed me a pen. I signed every document. I'll file these at 9 a.m. on February 15th, she said. Perfect. I left her office. Went home. Put on the dress Brian loved. And prepared for the proposal. Marcello's was exactly as I'd imagined. Candlelight. Roses. A violinist moving between tables. Brian wore his best suit. He ordered champagne before dinner. Held my hand across the table. Told me I looked beautiful. And I let him. Because this was his performance. And I was letting him finish it. When dessert arrived, he stood. The room quieted. He pulled the velvet box from his pocket. Tessa, he said, voice shaking with emotion. You are my forever. My partner. My future. Will you marry me? The ring was stunning. 3 carats. Flawless cut. People were already recording. I looked at him. At the man who'd stolen $14,100 from our joint account. Who'd opened a credit card in my name. Who'd told his mother I was unstable. Who'd called me temporary to another woman. And I smiled. Yes, I said. The room erupted in applause. He slipped the ring on my finger. Kissed me. The violinist played something romantic. Strangers congratulated us. Brian's eyes were wet. I love you so much, he whispered. I love you too, I said. We finished dinner. Took photos outside the restaurant. He drove us home, one hand never leaving mine. At our apartment, he opened champagne. We toasted to our future. He was so happy. So relieved. I was so nervous, he admitted. I thought you might say no. Why would I say no? I asked. I don't know. Cold feet. Timing. I'm so glad you said yes. He fell asleep holding me. I stayed awake, watching the clock. At 6 a.m., I slipped out of bed, grabbed my already packed bag from the closet, and left. By the time he woke up, I was gone. And the system was already moving. At 9 a.m., Patricia filed every document. Fraud complaint, joint account frozen pending investigation. Identity theft report, credit card flagged, charges disputed. Civil complaint, filed in district court for recovery of $14,100 plus legal fees. Bank subpoena, issued for account ending in 7392, registered to Amber Reeves. At 10 a.m., a process server delivered an envelope to Brian's office. Inside, copies of the civil complaint, fraud reports, and a business card for Patricia Chin. At 11 a.m., I sent an encrypted email to Linda, Brian's mother. Subject line, the truth about Brian. Attachment, a folder containing screenshots of messages with Amber, 67 total. Hotel receipts, 4 total. Bank statements showing fake vendor transfers, $14,100. Fraudulent credit card application, with his signature on file from the Credit Bureau investigation. His emails calling me unstable and financially irresponsible. Message, you raised him to be better than this. I have copies of everything. He ends today. At noon, I blocked Brian's number. Changed the locks on our apartment, my name was the only one on the lease. By 2 p.m., he was at my door. Pounding. Shouting. I didn't answer. Instead, I texted him one sentence. Speak to my attorney. Her card is in the envelope. He woke up engaged. He ended the day investigated. By that evening, Linda had forwarded the folder to Brian's sister, Rachel. Rachel told her husband. Her husband told his brother. Word spread. The unstable fiancé story evaporated the moment people saw the evidence. Mutual friends reached out. Oh my God, Tessa. I had no idea. Are you okay? Do you need anything? I'm so sorry. We should have known. Some admitted they'd heard Brian's version. That I was struggling. That I had spending issues. That I was emotionally fragile. But now they knew the truth. The affair. The theft. The lies. His narrative didn't just collapse. It reversed. People started asking, what kind of person does this? And the answer was clear. Not me. Him. Within a week, 3 of his closest friends had stopped returning his calls. His sister refused to speak to him. His mother sent me an apology email. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The bank investigation took 6 weeks. They traced every transfer. Every vendor payment went to Amber's account. The credit card company reversed all $11,000 in charges. My credit score was restored. The civil complaint moved forward. Brian's attorney tried to negotiate. Offered $7,000 to settle. Patricia rejected it. Your client stole $14,100, committed identity theft, and engaged in fraud. We're seeking full recovery plus legal fees. Non-negotiable. They settled for $14,100 plus $8,500 in legal fees. Total, $22,600. The engagement ring was classified as a conditional gift, meaning it had to be returned upon dissolution of the engagement. I returned it to his attorney. Sold it through a private jeweler. Got $9,200. Used the money as a down payment on a condo. In my name. Only my name. 3 months after Valentine's Day, I owned my own place. Free and clear of him. I didn't rage. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I walked away clean. No public confrontation. No social media posts. No revenge porn or petty exposure. Just documentation. Evidence. Systems doing what systems do when you activate them correctly. 4 months later, I ran into him at a coffee shop. He looked smaller somehow. Tired. He started to speak. I held up my hand. I have nothing to say to you, Brian. I paid for my coffee. Left. Drove to my condo. Sat on my balcony. And felt it. Not anger. Not sadness. Freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from knowing you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't owe anyone forgiveness. You just owe yourself peace. And I had it. I'm sitting in my condo. It's small. 1 bedroom. But it's mine. The walls are painted the exact shade of blue I wanted. The furniture is exactly what I chose. No compromises. No joint decisions. No shared accounts. Just mine. I got a promotion at work. Started seeing a therapist, not because I needed to be fixed, but because I wanted to process what happened without carrying it forward. I reconnected with friends I'd neglected during the relationship. Took a solo trip to Portugal. Learned to cook properly. Adopted a cat. His name is Evidence. It makes me laugh every time I say it. People ask if I'm dating. Not yet. I'm not in a hurry. I spent 3 years building a future with someone who was dismantling it behind my back. I'm taking time to build a future for myself first. One that can't be stolen. One that can't be manipulated. One that's just mine. Sometimes people ask how I stayed so calm. How I didn't explode. How I didn't confront him the moment I found the messages. The answer is simple: I'm a project manager. I solve problems by breaking them into smaller problems. I document everything. And I know that emotion doesn't win cases. Evidence does. Brian thought he was building a future. He thought he was securing his exit. He thought I was too clueless, too trusting, too unstable to see what was happening. He was wrong. Not because I was smarter, but because I was patient. I let him finish his performance. I let him propose. I let him believe he'd won. And then I dismantled everything with the same tools he'd used to build it: documents, timestamps, and records. He called me his forever on Valentine's Day. By morning, he was my case file. And 3 months later, I closed it. He thought he was securing his future. I secured mine. He called me his forever. I became his lesson.